The release of updates Winds of Change, not one, but two aircraft I covered in my How to Implement series were added, the Mirage F1 and the A10. In this video, we'll compare my suggestion to the actual implementation of the aircraft in-game. As such, I will also make recommendations in order to optimize aircraft if there is a need to do so. Without further ado, the Mirage F1c and War Thunder. I also plan to make this into a series where I review aircraft I featured previously and how to implement to see how they hold up in-game. The F1c is an 11.3 fighter in the French tree added right after the Mirage 3E. It costs 400,000 RP, 1,080,000 SL cost, and a crew train cost of 310,000 SL. It is armed with two DEFA 553s with 135 rounds per gun. Its default missiles are two R550 Magic 1 missiles, and it can carry the R530, R530E, and the Super 530F. On the dev server, it was slated to carry Magic 2 missiles, but it was removed due to balancing concerns. It's fitted with a Cyrano 4M radar with a moving target indicator for look-down capability. It's also a limited look-down capability, which we will cover in a bit. Let's start with the flight performance first. The Mirage F1c's ATAR 9K50 delivers a hefty acceleration to the F1c. It can reach Mach from an airfield start in about under 2 minutes. This speed is the greatest asset in terms of flight performance since, in other departments, it was done no favors. It struggles dogfighting with F4 Phantoms, a plane well known for its mediocre maneuverability. As such, it is generally never recommended to engage in prolonged dogfights with this aircraft, as while the engine is powerful, it cannot retain energy well and has awful low speed capabilities exacerbated by the lack of combat flaps. Another feature missing from the aircraft is automatic rudder and gear control when taking off. The instructor will not automatically raise your flaps and gears when taking off, leading to a loss of flaps and gear sometimes. The same thing occurs when landing. Deploying your gears does not automatically lower the flaps for landing. The redeeming factor about the Mirage F1c is that it has R550 Magics as default missiles and has 120 countermeasures. However, as it is one of the few aircraft included with the custom loadouts feature that has not been implemented, it has missing loadouts. In the current setup, you cannot carry two Magics and the R530 radar missile in the center line. This means that unless you give up the Magic missiles, you do not have access to a radar missile until you unlock the Super 530F at Tier 4. The two DEFA 553s with 135 rounds each are nice, but it struggles to compete against higher rate-of-fire guns like the GSH-23L and the M61 Vulcan. However, it does devastating damage when a hit is scored. The 30mm is also good against medium tanks and light pillboxes, which can give you a score or two when you've done nothing in the match. Trust me, there's a lot of those that happen in this aircraft. These guns can be supplemented with the CC-420 gun pods, two of which are mounted on wing pylons to bring the 30mm count to 4 at the expense of what little dogfight capability it has. Oddly enough, the CC-420 gun pods come with its own offensive belt research modification and is one of the few, if not only same caliber gun pods with a separate belt configuration. The R550 Magics are great missiles. If you've flown earlier Mirages and used them, you know how they perform. They're very agile missiles with good range, only hampered by its sensitivity to flares. The Mirage F1c gets two of them maximum. You have to pick your shots real well, as one or two well-placed flares will throw off the missile due to its high flare sensitivity. Well, the R530s are R530s. They burn for a really long time and can pull off miracle hits, but at 11.3 with chaff, the one R530 struggles to keep up with the likes of the F4J and the FGR2s, Sparrows, and Skyflashes. Then we have the Super 530F. With a launch range of 40 kilometers and an overload of 30G, it's inferior in range to the AIM-7F, Skyflash, and R-24R. It's only superior to these missiles in the maximum overload. While the AIM-7F, Skyflash, and R-24R only do 25G, the 530F can do 30G. It's guided by the Cyrano 4M radar with a range of 28 kilometers, and a first for the Mirage, ACM mode capability. Another feature new to the Serrano 4M is the moving target indicator for look-down, shoot-down capability. However, it comes with one huge drawback. As it's not a pulse Doppler radar, the missile can and is susceptible to chaff, unlike the FGR-2 and the F4J. The radar is also unreliable, bringing back the old Sparrow syndrome of the unreliable tracks that explode in mid-air. The Mirage F1c can only carry two R530Fs, and losing them to poor tracking is just a waste. The Mirage F1c in its current state in War Thunder is an underwhelming plane with very little redeeming factors that barely redeem it from the issues it's plagued with. All you're left with is an aircraft that cosplays an 11.3 fighter without being an 11.3 fighter. In my video, I said that it's best put at 11.0 with Magic 2s, as two all-aspect missiles won't do it any better, as Gaijin decides not to code IRCCM on missiles yet. The 40G is nice, but it also homes in on missiles at 40 Gs of force. The R530F can't even be improved unless Gaijin makes moving target indicators act like pulse Doppler and make it unchaffable. But that's a pipe dream that I can't see happening or even recommend. At this state, with the F104S ASA, F4G Phantom 2, and the MiG-23 MLA and MLD, even with Magic 2s, the Mirage F1c cannot be too much. It was added too late, and the only silver lining from this is that we know that when Gaijin drops Generation 4 aircraft, we'll see the Mirage 2000 with them. Now, let's wait on the Mirage F1A to get proper cast for France. As always, thank you for watching. This is the Dr. MD. Godspeed.